Well, we have just one more minute to go before the launch. And thank you. Good evening, Mrs. Birch. Thanks so much for joining me this evening. So happy to have you. We'll just wait a minute or two for some more to join us on Facebook and on Instagram. We have some people joining us live on Instagram, so thank you so much for joining us this evening. Painting the 1940s Jazz Session. So that's the theme this evening. Hi, Anne-Marie. Yes, so it's 7 o'clock. I guess we'll get started. Let me just dim the music a bit, and then we'll get started on our presentation. All right. So here we go. What I'll do this evening is take you through some slides which describe my artwork, the most recent artwork produced in the last couple of weeks. So glad everyone can join us. Thanks, Miggy, for joining in, and Anne-Marie and Cynthia Birch. Really happy to have you this evening. So let's get started on the slide presentation. The topic this evening, painting the 1940s jazz session. And I put my social media handles here so people can follow up afterwards. My website, JennylyndJames.com/art. Instagram, Art by Jennylynd James, and Art by JennylyndJames.com for my Facebook. Before we get started, I'd just like to do a Black History Month acknowledgement. So I'd like to acknowledge the 25th anniversary of Black History Month as an official national observance in Canada. This February, we remember the 400 years of history of Africans in Canada and celebrate the past and present contributions and achievements of people of African heritage. Now, I love to paint jazz musicians and jazz singers. A definition of jazz, a music genre that originated in the African-American communities of New Orleans, Louisiana, United States in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, with its roots in blues and ragtime. So according to Wikipedia, since the 1920s jazz age, it has been recognized as a major form of musical expression in traditional and popular music. Jazz is characterized by swing and blue notes, complex chords, call and response vocals, polyrhythms, and improvisation. Jazz has its roots in West African cultural and musical expression and in African-American musical traditions. So those are just a few definitions and words around jazz. Now, to paint my images, I use references like photos, videos from the past, and I find them on YouTube, on Pinterest, online documentaries, Wikipedia. And in my recent paintings, I've omitted faces deliberately. And this is for the viewer of the painting to feel the energy through the movement of the characters, just looking at the characters, the drawings of the instruments, the use of the instruments. I want the viewers to actually just feel the energy from the paintings. So I'm going to show you some examples of photographs that I use as references. Duke Ellington. So he was an American composer, pianist, and leader of a huge jazz orchestra. And so I used this image of Duke Ellington to likeness, figuratively. Another famous one, Sarah Vaughan, an American jazz singer nicknamed Sassy and the Divine One. So she won a number of Grammy Awards for her performances. And so this is my Sarah Vaughan representation here in the painting. Billie Holiday, we can't forget Billie Holiday. Her original name, Eleonora Fagan. And she was an American jazz and swing music singer. Her career spanned 26 years. Her nickname was Lady Day. Then we have Sister Rosetta Tharpe, and she is referred to as a godmother of rock and roll because she played guitar while she sang, and she mixed blues with the electric blues rock guitar. So Sister Rosetta Tharpe, another very important figure in jazz history. Then there's Hazel Scott. I have a soft spot for Hazel Scott because she was born in Trinidad and Tobago, just like me. So she was a child prodigy and moved to New York as a child and studied music, classical music, followed by jazz music. So she was active for many, many years on the jazz music scene worldwide and throughout the United States, of course. Dizzy Gillespie, this was a favorite one to paint.
John Bush,
American jazz trumpeter and band leader, and Dizzy would blow the trumpet so hard his cheeks would swell up. And so my Dizzy Gillespie character has swollen cheeks as well, and the upturned trumpet. So he was famous for that. The upturned trumpet and those big cheeks when he blew into the trumpet. Next character, Charlie Parker, nicknamed Bird, a Yardbird, American jazz saxophonist and composer. So Parker is highly influential. He was a highly influential figure when it came to bebop and the forming of bebop. So he started that movement. Of course, we remember Louis Armstrong, Satchmo, Satch, and Pops. He had many nicknames. And so this is my Louis Armstrong character. Louis always carried a little rag to mop up his forehead or also to dry up the trumpet. So I put in the little white rag that Louis always walked around with. Great character. Then I also added some dancers in my painting because swing dance was really popular from the 20s right on to the 1940s. So here you have it. And women wore hats, not as much jewelry as in the 1920s, but they wore hats. Here you have a character with a pillbox hat, a beret. So I put some of these dancers in my paintings. Here we have some more dancers. You see this couple here. I put a stylized version of them. So I love to use photos as references for my characters. Now I'm going to show you a video of the stages that I used to create the painting. Let me pull up the video. So it just takes you through step by step and how I created the video. So of course we start with the blank canvas. I am going to, oops, let's see what happened here. Let me go back. So my video is not starting up. Let me try getting it started again. Okay. From the blank canvas, I sketched with paint onto the canvas. I must have changed my mind 100 times in doing the sketches, but that's what happens. So I don't sketch with pencil, I sketch with paint and redo until I get the figures to look just how I want. So I have Duke Ellington and his jazz orchestra. And joining him, Hazel Scott, we're going to have Holliday, quite a few 1940s stars are going to join the band. And then you have the swing dancers dancing, several couples during the swing. So this is a nice big fun. 1940s jazz. Right, so this is what the beginning stages look like, and then I kept adding characters, adding and adding characters so that the painting had come together. So it was a long process. Every day I'd add a little more and more and more and fix the characters in place. And if I didn't like what they looked like, I would just redo them until I got them to look more like what I wanted. But I enjoyed creating these lively dances as well. And as I showed you in the presentation, I use photographs as a reference. I even looked at dress patterns from the 1940s, you know, those patterns for dresses that people would make their own clothes if you had a sewing machine. Yes, so I added more details every day. So this lineup is shaping up well in my 1940s jazz painting. Hazel Scott, Sarah Vaughan, Vic Marlin, Charlie Parker, Gillespie, Billie Holiday, and now I'm going to work on Duke Ellington and his jazz orchestra. Then I'll work on the dancers up front. So things are shaping up nicely. Louis Armstrong. Now I like to listen to jazz as I paint because that helps to create the mood and also helps me to imagine the instruments. Lineup is shaping up well in my 1940s jazz painting. Hazel Scott, Sarah Vaughan, Vic Marlin, Charlie Parker, Gillespie, Billie Holiday, and now I'm going to work on Duke Ellington and his jazz orchestra. Then I'll work on the dancers up front. So things are shaping up nicely. So this is when I put more detail, especially Duke Ellington's band. They had matching jackets. Here you can see more details were added. And I put some jewelry on the dancers and on the singers. So in the 40s, they wore hats, not as much jewelry as the 1920s. There they are. This is Gillespie's cheeks. So I had to add extra cheeks in the painting. There's Louis Armstrong, Charlie Parker, Sister Tharpe, Sarah Vaughan, Hazel Scott. And we have some of Duke Ellington's orchestra, a big band in In the back, there's Duke Ellington himself. He always looked like a dapper Dan.
Done now with the painting, and now I have to do some decorating, putting on jewelry on the ladies, etc. So some decorating of the musicians and the dancers. So there it is. We have singers, dancers, musicians. And lively scene. 1940s jazz session.
All right. So that's those slides take us through the stages that I used to create the painting. So does anyone have any questions for me? Any of our visitors this evening? Any questions for me? You can put your questions in the chat box. Let's see. Somebody said Sarah Vaughan, what? I grew up listening to Sarah Vaughan, my dad's favorite singer. Okay. Anybody has any questions for me? You love the movement. Thank you. All right. So if we don't have any more questions, let's see our friends on Facebook. If anybody has any questions for me on Facebook. Anybody there? Hi, Judith. Good to see you. Thanks for coming. Any questions for me on Facebook? All right, so Judith asked how many hours from start to finish? Well, it took many days to do. And this one was more difficult because I decided to add so many characters. So I can't even tell you the hours because I don't work continuously. You know, I take different days and work several hours on each day. Oh, hi, Magda. Good to see you. Magda is joining us all the way from the UK, so I appreciate it because it's after midnight in the UK. Thanks for joining us, Magda. So Magda's, it's interesting. Yes, so I'm glad you enjoyed the process of creating the painting. So what I'm going to do now is show everyone the painting. So let me see, I could put the view. Speaker view, maybe that, speaker view. Oh, I'm not seeing, see the thing with technology, doesn't cooperate when I wanted to. Oh my gosh. All right, what I'll do is I am going to try and focus on the painting. Does everybody see the painting?
Yes, we do.
All right, so I'm going to just take it back this way. All right. So do you see the whole painting? Here you have it. We have, and I'm going to probably just walk you through it. So we have some of the musicians here, the singers, and then the dancers, of course, having a great time. Right, so you can get some idea. This is acrylic on canvas. And it's a relatively big piece. That's why it took me almost 2 weeks to complete, because it's such a big piece, 48 inches by 60 inches. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me this evening. I'm so happy so many of you could join, and I'm going to start some jazz music while we look at the painting. Let me put on the jazz again so we can hear some jazz as we enjoy the painting. And if you have any questions or comments to me, please let me know.
Wonderful display, Lindsay.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Sinclair. Happy you could join me.
Wonderful display.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to put back the screen so people can admire the painting a little bit. Let's see. Yes, thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. Oh, and for those who missed, what I'll do, I'll show, for those who missed the 1920s painting that I had done. Maybe I'll show you that one as well. So let's take a look at that one. Can you see it? Can you all see that painting on the wall there?
Yeah, we could see it.
So that is Ma Rainey. So Ma Rainey, Mother of the Blues, again, 48 inches by 60 inches. So that was my first attempt at a really big concert scene. So I worked on that in January before deciding to do 1940s. So what should I do next? Maybe you could give me some ideas in the chat box. Which painting should I do next? We did the 1920s, this is 1940s. I need some more music ideas. So anybody has any ideas for me? Just put them in the chat box. Always looking for new ideas of musicians along the theme of jazz musicians. Tonight I tried to dress like Billie Holiday with my white gardenias in the hair. So this is my Billie Holiday look. Anyway, well, thank you so much for joining me this evening. I appreciate it. And look forward to seeing you next time when I launch another great painting. Thanks again. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.